My name is Andrew Miller, and until recently, I thought I was living in a dream. My wife, Sophia, was everything I'd ever wanted. Smart, charming, and the kind of woman who could light up a room with her laugh. She wasn't just my wife. She was my best friend, my partner in every sense of the word, or so I thought. Sophia and I had been married for 5 years, and while life had its ups and downs, I always felt we had something special. But over the last few months, something had shifted. It started with small things. Late nights on her laptop, claiming she was catching up on work. Mysterious texts that made her smile, only for her to tuck her phone away when I walked in. I asked about it, and she always had an answer. "You're overthinking again, Andrew. You know how demanding my job is." She'd kiss me on the cheek, and just like that, my concerns would melt away. She had a way of brushing off suspicion so effortlessly, making me feel guilty for even doubting her. But as much as I tried to ignore it, the unease grew. I wanted to trust her, but the signs were hard to ignore. One night, while she was out for what she claimed was a work dinner, I was browsing online. I don't even know what made me do it, but out of curiosity, I Googled her name. I thought maybe I'd come across an old photo or something interesting from her college days. Instead, I found something I never expected. It was a blog, Adventures with Sophia, run by someone named Jason Carter. His posts were filled with photos, stories, and intimate moments that painted a vivid picture of his relationship with someone named Sophia. My Sophia. At first, I thought it had to be a coincidence. Maybe this was a different Sophia. But as I scrolled, my heart sank. There she was, in his photos, laughing, holding his hand, leaning in for a kiss. The timestamps on the posts didn't lie. This wasn't old news. This was happening now. My hands trembled as I clicked through Jason's blog. Every post felt like a dagger to my chest. There was Sophia at a cozy cafe, sipping coffee and smiling at the camera. A caption read, "Our little corner of the world. Couldn't imagine life without her." Another photo showed them on a weekend getaway. The location, a cabin in the mountains. The same weekend she had told me she was away on a work retreat. I felt a nauseating mix of rage and heartbreak, the walls of my world crumbling around me. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I had married, was living a double life. Then I saw it. A recent post, dated just a few days earlier. Jason had written about how lucky he was to find someone like Sophia. "She's one of a kind," the post read. "I know she's trying to balance so much, but I'm patient. Love like this is worth waiting for." I slammed my laptop shut, the bile rising in my throat. My heart was pounding, my breathing erratic. "This can't be real," I muttered to myself. "There has to be some mistake." But deep down, I knew there wasn't. The timestamps, the photos, her excuses. It all fit together. That night, Sophia came home late as usual. She walked in with a bright smile, kissed me on the cheek, and asked, "How was your day?" I stared at her, my emotions a volatile mix of fury and despair. She seemed so normal, so unaffected. It was as if she wasn't living a lie, as if she wasn't betraying me with every step she took. "It was fine," I replied, my voice tight. She didn't notice or didn't care. That something was wrong. She just went upstairs, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The next morning, I couldn't keep it in any longer. I sat across from Sophia at the breakfast table, my coffee untouched, and the weight of what I knew pressing down on me. She was scrolling through her phone, her face a picture of calm. It was infuriating. How could she act so normal when she was living a lie? "Who's Jason?" I asked, breaking the silence. Her hand froze mid-scroll. Slowly, she looked up at me, her expression carefully neutral. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone, opened Jason's blog, and slid it across the table to her. Her eyes widened as she stared at the screen, but then she did something that shocked me. She laughed. "Are you seriously stalking random blogs now?" she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "This is pathetic, Andrew. Don't lie to me, Sophia," I said, my voice shaking. "I saw the photos. I read his posts. I know everything." Her smirk faltered, but only for a moment. Then she leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. Fine. You caught me. So what? I blinked, stunned. So what? You've been cheating on me, Sophia. Lying to me for God knows how long. She rolled her eyes. Oh, stop being so dramatic. It's not like you've been some perfect husband, Andrew. You're boring. Predictable. Jason makes me feel alive. Her words hit me like a freight train. Alive. I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. You're tearing apart our marriage. And all you can say is he makes you feel alive? Maybe if you weren't so dull, I wouldn't need someone else. She shot back, her tone venomous. I stood up, my hands trembling. Get out, Sophia. Pack your things and go. She laughed again, a bitter, mocking sound. This is my house too, Andrew. If you don't like it, maybe you should leave. Her arrogance was unbearable. But I knew I couldn't let my emotions get the better of me. I needed a plan. After Sophia's unapologetic response, I knew I couldn't let her walk all over me. I spent the next few days pretending to go along with her charade, keeping my emotions in check while quietly preparing my next move. First, I reached out to Jason. I found his contact information through his blog and sent him an anonymous email. I attached a few screenshots of Sophia's work retreat photos, alongside proof of her being with me at the same time. My message was simple. You think you're the only one? Think again. I didn't expect a response, but 2 days later he replied. Who are you? What's going on? He wrote. I sent him more details. The timeline of our relationship, our marriage certificate, and even photos of us together. It didn't take long before Jason realized the truth. His blog, which once painted Sophia as his dream woman, suddenly went silent. Meanwhile, I dug deeper. Sophia had used our shared accounts for years, leaving behind a trail of receipts and messages. I collected everything, hotel bookings, text logs, even emails she thought she'd deleted. When I was ready, I confronted her one final time. One evening, as she sat in the living room scrolling through her phone, I walked in and dropped a folder on the coffee table. She glanced at it, then back at me with a raised eyebrow. What's this? She asked, her tone bored. Proof, I said, of everything you've been doing. Her smirk faltered as she flipped through the pages. You've been spying on me? She snapped, slamming the folder shut. Don't try to twist this, I said, my voice firm. I have everything I need to end this. She glared at me, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. And what, Andrew? What do you think you're going to do? I leaned in closer. You'll find out soon enough. The next morning, I put my plan into action. Sophia thought she could outmaneuver me, but she underestimated just how much she had left behind. I sent everything I had collected, photos, texts, receipts, to her closest friends and family. The reactions were swift. Her carefully crafted image of the perfect wife and partner crumbled overnight. Her mother, who had always adored her, left me a voicemail apologizing on her behalf. Her best friend texted me. I had no idea she was doing this to you, Andrew. She lied to everyone. When Sophia realized what I'd done, she came home in a rage. You're such a coward, she screamed, slamming the door behind her. Dragging my family into this? How dare you? I stood my ground, calm and resolute. You brought this on yourself, Sophia. You lied to me, to them, to everyone. Now they know the truth. She crossed her arms, her face twisted with anger. So what? Do you feel like a hero now? Do you think you've won? I shook my head. It's not about winning. It's about showing you that your actions have consequences. Later that evening, I received an email from Jason. Thank you for telling me the truth. I've cut ties with her completely. She's not the person I thought she was. I felt a strange sense of relief. Jason was as much a victim of her lies as I was, and now we were both free from her web of deception. After Jason's email and Sophia's meltdown, I realized I had done everything I needed to reclaim my life. Sophia moved out a few days later, leaving behind a house full of memories that felt hollow and tainted. She didn't apologize, didn't show a shred of remorse. Good luck finding someone who puts up with you, she sneered as she grabbed her suitcase. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. The act of revenge. My final act of revenge was simple. I let her fade into irrelevance. I didn't badmouth her beyond what was necessary for the truth to be known. I didn't beg her to stay or show her any emotion. I lived my life better without her. The divorce proceedings were swift. With all the evidence I had gathered, Sophia didn't stand a chance. I walked away with the house and a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. The lesson learned. Looking back, the betrayal taught me lessons I never wanted to learn but desperately needed to. I learned that trust is fragile, and ignoring red flags only delays the inevitable. I learned that love is only meaningful when it's paired with respect and honesty. Most importantly, I learned that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting the pain. It means using it to build a stronger, better version of yourself. To anyone going through something similar, my advice is this: don't let someone else's betrayal define you. Face the truth, stand your ground, and never be afraid to demand better. You deserve it. Conclusion. Sophia thought she could manipulate everyone around her, but in the end, her lies unraveled, and she was left with nothing. As for me, I'm rebuilding my life one day at a time. The scars are still there, but they remind me of how far I've come. This chapter of my life is closed, and I'm ready to write a better one.